Now, your book starts out with, of course, the 1911, and there are very few people who are going to argue with you about the significance of the 1911, which is having a birthday, of course, this year. It's centennial. I'm just going to put it to you. In your opinion, is the 1911 the greatest handgun of all time?
It would certainly be a contender. As you notice, the very title, Greatest Handguns of the World, should probably have had the word subjective in it somewhere. But I think there is certainly consensus in the firearms world that whether or not you consider the 1911 obsolete, it is one of the classic and enduring designs. There is markedly little difference between that gun and in the year of its introduction and the versions that right now are in the holsters of Marine Expeditionary Units, of Delta Force, of LAPD SWAT, of cops and armed citizens nationwide. Now, certainly guns like the Colt Single Action Army had preceded it by more than a quarter of a century. But those guns now are quaint anachronisms. We shoot our single actions in Single Action Shooting Sports Society, and we're either paying homage to the Western spirit or reliving our childhood and mid-20th century playing cowboy. There are darn few people who actually carry those guns for personal protection, and there's no law enforcement agency in America that would issue them. 100 years after its introduction, we have departments not only issuing these guns and authorizing them, but some of them authorizing them for the very first time. We have these guns winning in open competition, from Camp Perry, Ohio at the National Bullseye Championships to Albuquerque now at the National Police Shooting Championships in the semi-automatic class. Still in USPSA and IPSC shooting, one or another variation of the 1911 is the gun to beat with all the modern technology notwithstanding. And, the 1911 telephone would be a joke today. None of us are going to keep our family's food in the 1911 icebox. Yet, literally millions of American homes today are protected by 1911 pistols. So whether or not it's the purely greatest, I think is going to have to be a matter of individual opinion. I don't think any of us could debate that it certainly deserves its place among the greatest.
Well, one of the
things history, influence, and continued performance.
One of the things I think is most interesting about your book is you don't approach your subject purely from a tactical or a self-defense perspective. You throw a very broad net here. You've got the Smith & Wesson K-22 in there, which is not renowned for self-defense or for any kind of tactical use, but it is of course, a premier target-type 22 revolver. But then you've got the Ruger 22 automatic in there, too. So it seems to me that you've touched all the bases here of the greatest handguns, in your opinion, regardless of the specific application. Do you think that's a pretty fair statement?
It is, and the simple fact is the handgun is not a single-purpose tool. Certainly it can be a military weapon, a police weapon, a defensive weapon, but it's also a tool for sport in both marksmanship and hunting. And we see guns like the Ruger 22 auto pistol applied in both of those areas. And finally, just looking at it from the history of the machining, from the art of the gun, if you will, I think there's room for all. There's room for the single-action revolver, there's room for the 22, there's room for the 45. And a whole lot of people who are seriously into the study of the gun have room in their gun safe for all of them.
Well, there you have it. You've heard it from the man yourself. This is Massad Ayoob talking about his new book, Massad Ayoob's Greatest Handguns of the World. That book can be ordered at GunDigestStore.com. And while you're at GunDigestStore.com, take a look at TacticalGearMag.com, too, and consider joining. Massad Ayoob is part of that site as well, and we'd love to have you come along and join us. So thank you very much. Massad, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, my friend, and you take care.